Hi, I'm Anthony, and welcome back to this particular space on the internet. Now sit right there, won't you, and I'll tell you a tale of... Some years ago, I began work on a video essay concerning a... certain video game franchise. And seriously, some of my happiest memories are of me sat in front of my Auntie Seal's telly in a house by the beach, playing my Sega Mega Drive.
That's a Genesis if you're a Yankee Doodle Dixie.
And oh, Sonic, how I did love thee. Did being the operative word, the series is now something very, very different to the games of my youth. Ah, it's bad! Which is really the point of making this sort of video at all. Unfortunately, after spending so much time chiseling away at it, I've reached a sad realization.
I don't care!
The last time I spent money on this intellectual property was at the end of the previous millennium! And even then it was only a hire. I never owned a Dreamcast, beefy little battler though it was. So when the world asks, what do we do with Sonic? Do I honestly qualify to do this job justice anymore?
I am not the droids you are looking for.
Best I can do is hoik up my old man pants and say,
Fair! You little whippersnappers. Everything's different now, and I miss the old stuff when I used to feel things below my cummerbund.
Your kids don't know what you're missing. What the fudge am I doing? Work! Real work is what I'm doing. This is not fun. Trying to make words out of one's frustration with this wobbly series is like trying to gargle billiard balls. What? How? Why? I can't. But I gotta do it. I gotta do it for Griff, and Asa, and Ox, and Etch, and both my remaining patrons. Oh, but
Oh, it's so stupid.
And honestly, who gives a fig if yet another bedroom-bound tosspot adds to the internet's infinite opinion pile? Well, I used to think someone might. If I put together the world's most thoroughly researched, concise, and precisely constructed argument for all of the marvelous solutions you're about to hear. But as I say, it's tough to remain invested. Most folks old enough to remember and thus perceive the downfall have resigned themselves to the heartbreak, put the series to bed in their minds, and since moved on to bigger and more important squishy things. But not me. Oh no! Out of the pony frying pan and into the sonic fire!
My superhero name?
Heaven help me, I'm living in Furby land! Could this be a sign that of finally growing up? To follow in St. Paul's footsteps. Where once I was a child, I talked like a child, thought like a child, and reasoned like a child. But when I become a man, I put away the things of a child and take up shepherding or something.
Oh, sounds good.
Yeah. In a minute, because I don't like to say that a project has broken me until it's properly broken off. Yes, that's it. I'm gonna get off my arse and getting this off my chest. Ooh, you preposterous pie-faced harlequin. Your breathtaking mediocrity will not beat me, Chronic. Because who's got one thumb, a selfie stick, and never gives up on a dumb idea? I resolve that by the end of this video I will have finally become a man. Sonic the Hedgehog is a video game series from the early 1990s. Engineered from conception, it is a property to compete with Sega's rival company Nintendo and its highly popular Super Mario platformer franchise. It achieved instant success as both beloved video game experience and crumbs. You know the story. And if not, well then here's a very nice video on it by some dude whose spirit by now isn't a mangled marital aid. In another life, in a previous draft of this production, I had a detailed history for you, featuring a bunch of flashy bells and whistles befitting a video exhibiting $200 worth of custom-made posters. But fudge it, let's just jump to the good bit, shall we? What do we do with Sonic? Well, we don't do anything with Sonic, but sit in a ditch and cry while his dev team cheerfully ignores us.
Well, that's not completely fair. They have been trying a little bit lately. But in a universe several dimensions off the central finite curve, there exists a Sonic team that's got its act together. And for starters,
Number 1. Fulfills the potential of Sonic the Hedgehog in 2 and 2.5D.
Yeah, fantastic as some of the entries have been, there's still so much more to do here, Mr. Whitehead. My clinchiest argument for this would have to be that in one of the series' last great installments, Sonic was first introduced to snow. Oh, goody, says I. Can't wait to see what this character known for rolling about the place as a ball shape is gonna do in the snow. Whatever will they do with this ball avatar when he's rolling quickly down a hill covered in snow? A ball character really only ought to take to snow if we yeah, that's right, of course. Let's just stick him on some skis or whatever, because that's exactly what the patriarchy expects of our woodland creature fetishes! Back in the day, folks used to refer to Sonic the Hedgehog as a dashing blue dynamo and such like. But you know what a dynamo is there, Morty? It's a little motor that you spin manually or kinetically to generate a charge. So isn't it funny how in the broad history of this little blue squid statically spinning in a spot, he's never ever been used to power anything? Not to open a door, boot a computer, motivate some machinery, or electrify a trap. Not even so much as to turn on the flipping light! To say nothing of mechanical contraptions like clock springs or cogs and such. Do you ever notice the way he kicks up a little rooster tail when he spins? What could you do with that? How about clear a path, or dig a hole, douse a fire? Hey, how about this? Hit a button to extend his spines and maybe he could stick to surfaces, or even make himself useful picking up stuff. There's so much potential left in the mechanics of this character, already innate to the physics with which he was crafted. He's a blue ball, yes? A blue ball. For all of us who have yet to learn how to program. Number 2. Fix his character. Please?
Too easy. Piece of cake.
You! Now, I know of actual people who are cool with this characterization. Okay, but I can think of a few more who aren't. It's something of a running joke nowadays, which even the developers have acknowledged by incorporating a mute version of Sonic in classic form as an extra-dimensional or perhaps a time-traveling counterpart in later games, whereas contemporary Sonic appears to be a victim of the extreme 90s, bruh!
I have no idea what you're talking about, but I'm pretty sure it's a bad thing.
This hot-headed jackass who never seems to have recovered from it.
Let's see it.
Now that's art. I'm waiting.
Good Lord. Wouldn't you rather he simply stayed mute? Oh. Mania Plus promotional shorts for the win. This is good.
I'm sure the amount of story you can tell this way is limited, but at least it isn't buried under mountains of wince-worthy dialogue.
Looks like the party's getting started. Time to rock and roll. Even without wings, I can still fly. Right? Come on, step it up.
You worry too much. Look, I'm perfectly fine. It's been generations since I seen you. You okay? Oh, great. See, Infinite? Now we're getting to know each other. So, what's your favorite color? Do you like long, romantic walks on the beach? What's the source of your power? You can skip the first two questions if you like.
Didn't you know? We have a date with Eggman, too.
Is that so? Well then, it'll be a date to die for.
Hey, that's my line.
That's his line, is it? Look, clearly this stuff's for kids. But you know, I don't recall getting that feeling from this same series when I was a kid. A very serious little kid who was quite sensitive about being patronized. And I suspect this stuff might have made his skin crawl right off its hinges. Well, maybe. Or maybe I've simply grown too mature to appreciate it anymore. That's a distinct possibility. Waff. But honestly, I think there's something else at play here. You want Sonic to speak? Groovy! But remember how he used to seem way back when the hardware, tasty as it was, couldn't proffer us the full talkie? One was forced to infer Sonic's personality based on what he was doing. That is solely, in fact, on his stoic actions to decisively risk his life battling horrible odds, dangerous terrain, and deadly enemies in saving a multitude of his furry friends from being assimilated into some kind of frickin' Borg collective at the hands of a wicked human scientist bent on stealing the most powerful magical MacGuffins in the land! Whew. And all without so much as an exasperated sigh. I don't know about you, but all of these actions speak loudly of a noble character to me. Maybe I was wrong. I don't know, was I wrong, Sega? You tell me.
You're too slow.
Oh, shut up! Number 3. Make 3D Sonic a Sandbox adventure. This idea is such concentrated 24-karat industrial strength chocolate-coated genius that Naughty Dog Software already did it in collaboration with Sonic co-creator Hirokazu Yasuhara when they made Jak and Daxter games together. So I don't expect a lot of pushback on this frankly brilliant idea of having Pointy Smurf here finally do the same. Although, it might be fun to explore how it is that he hasn't yet gotten there. I mean, Super Mario went there as fast as the technology would allow. Years before games like GTA 3. So, could Sonic the Hedgehog? Nope! Okay. You know, it's striking that for a series which earned so much acclaim by quietly following in Mario's footsteps, in 3D, never did.
Excuse me?
Oh, yeah. Hello, Supersonic Galaxy. We'll touch base with him soon enough. Yeah, for now, when I say follow in Mario's footsteps, I'm really referring to something a little more fundamental. Just watch. In his first 3D appearance, Super Mario Giuseppe Alphonsus Mario was capable of tiptoeing, walking, running, jumping, double and triple jumping, punching, kicking, grabbing, climbing, ducking, backflipping, side flipping, crawling, sweep kicking, ground stomping, wall kicking, long jumping, slide kicking, monkey swinging,
Swan diving,
breaststroking, doggy paddling, handstanding, body surfing, and doing whatever the hot gooey fudge this is! Yeah, it was so much fun playing with all those moves. In 3D the sky rules, so surely this one too. Now it's the athlete's turn to show off just what he can do. He can run. And jump, I guess. Oh, but he's got that homing attack, which unnaturally interrupts the flow and only exists as a concession to how he controls like a wet soap. But in later games, he can pound the ground, like Mario. Oh, and of course, he's got the patented super spin dash.
Oh, yeah, that's just what my bar of soap needs to go faster.
Well, isn't this a curious case of cucumbers? Here we have the squat Italian stereotype who spends the better part of his downtime dreaming of a high-carb diet.
Ravioli.
Veritably festooned with the most complex array of nimble gymnastic maneuvers to ever grace a control scheme, while the lithe speeds to youth can't turn around?
Or does he control like a boat?
Apparently, Miyamoto continued for a long time to play in a simplistic garden level, trying to make the simple act of moving Mario and chasing the rabbit to be a fun and engaging experience. Making the transition to 3D brings so much uncertainty that there would have been no point in making Mario 64 at all if they couldn't first and foremost make sure it would feel good to play.
Are you sure about that?
And here we go, killing it!
Oh no!
One more time. This is the one, and success!
This is so hard to control.
Oh boy.
3D Sonic actually features less tactile athleticism than he did in 2D! And my brothers and sisters, these modern games' sacrifice of everything upon the craven altar of almighty, unbelievable, and eye-popping breakneck speed might just be the cause of this plague. The way I see it, and if you've played this stuff, I'm sure you know what I mean, is that most worlds in which we see Sonic these days aren't properly realized as worlds. This is a quick means of rendering the quantity of data needed to fly by the camera in order to create an illusion of great speed, which completely shortchanges the promise of a properly realized 3D world, which I want so badly. Back in the day, we played the old games and looked out at those lush parallax backgrounds and said to ourselves, "One day, man, one day we'll actually get to go there." And yet over the years, while his competition and even unrelated genres left him in the dust, Sonic's fans were forced to get back in the ditch and ask, "Why? Why can't we go there? Why can't we go there? Why can't we go and be Sonic? In his own world. Spend a day in his life." Oh yeah, that's right. He has to look like he's going fast, so here's an implausible collection of half-pipes. Traversal through which does not require a lot of sophistication in the controls department. Now, since it seems to be so danged important, please consider that any game can achieve a sense of speed simply by creating some all-important between the player and the game's next fastest moving objects. You want a character to seem fast? Well, just take a look at Batman here in the Arkham games. Yeah, he's wicked fast, but he's just a guy, moving a little bit quicker than everyone else. Now you might be dubious as to how this pertains to Sonic, and what do I mean by all important? Contrast. Well, Batman aside, let's try a thought exercise. Imagine stepping into a square room, a big cube, sheer on every side, perfectly white and unfaceted. Its only remarkable feature being that it is 10,000 feet large in all directions. Now you might walk into such a room and say to yourself,
"Wow, I don't know what else this bland room of nothing's about, but it is big!"
Yeah? Well, now imagine something similar. Again, you walk into the room, and everything is identical except that this time you yourself are now 9,000 feet tall! And for the moment, this room is your whole world. You can see the problem. The relative scale is dramatically reduced, and the one thing this place had going for it no longer seems to matter much. It also doesn't matter how extraordinary you yourself may be. 9,000 feet tall? 20,000 feet? If it's all scaled respectively, the illusion of size is destroyed. And whether you're programming a computer to generate a sense of size, or power, or wealth, or in Sonic's case, a sense of speed, it's at least worth some of your time to juxtapose the extraordinary with the mundane. This is personally why I love games like GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64 so much. You get to do all this amazing action, but the game starts right in the toilet. Really? And how about that for contrast? To go from this to this. feels like progress. This special something is a certain something that 3D Sonic has never, ever, not ever seemed to master. If the giant levels are 10,000 feet large, then Sonic's speed is the 9,000-foot elephant in the room. The cramped, boring little room. Oh dear, and they're all a little like this. Even the good ones.
Hello, Sonic. I'll be your navigator. Leave everything but the running to me.
And this is only the seminal problem from which many others are born. Nothing you see in a modern Sonic game even pretends to make sense beyond being a trope of this ungainly gauntlet game world, where aside from the odd doddering enemy, Sonic's incredible speed often has nothing substantial with which to compare it, save for members of his own posse, or enemies, who always seem to be going just as quickly. Oh no, I'm sorry, quicker! I don't get it. Is he fast? Compared to what? The backgrounds as they flit by? Always at low detail to facilitate the scale necessary to create these long, boring, endless tracts of nothing really. Great, so rather than something intimate to explore, a living, populated world with which one might form an attachment and, oh I don't know, desire to heroically rescue, the whole universe seems to be condensed into this impossible gauntlet that exists just to be gotten out of the way with?
How must it feel to be the guys who like make these levels and they're like, so you're the part of the level that you're responsible for will be visible for 1 whole second.
If that.
So whoa, 1 second? Yeah, Steve didn't even get a second. Dude, that's amazing.
There are occasional exceptions to this for sure. For example, the previously mentioned Lost World was a bit different. And original Sonic Adventure was getting there. It had this cool sandboxy hub world and quests. You'll tell me if you can think of any better examples, won't you? But more poignantly, there is an argument to be made that the modern series' abstract and super stylized worlds are unique. Sonic has become his own genre. And that's... Well, that's all wine and brandy, Buzz. I don't suppose I'd be talking about any of this stuff if it weren't appealing to someone. But to me, when I play the latter games, the brittle superficiality of it all routinely rouses these same old beastly questions. Where is everyone? What is this place? What's it for?
What's this rail thing? Do the people use it to commute?
Nah, this ain't Bioshock. So how about them bounce pads and checkpoints? Oh, they are solely there for Sonic. Uh-huh. Well, who put them there, and why don't they want to collect these ring thingies? Who put them every frickin' where? Where are all the people? Oh, there aren't any! No one needs rescuing. What the fudge am I doing here? Why do I care? Does anyone care? To be fair, I gotta imagine it's pretty difficult to create any 3D game. Legend has it that Super Mario 64 spent up to 5 years in development. And such things are naturally expensive. Sandbox games the most. And once upon a time, when Sega Corporation was on the ropes due to a string of painful hardware failures, this, I speculate, combined with an industry-wide lack of expertise, led Sonic Team to create this truly peculiar half and half. A kind of compromise. It's a 3D game, but one weirdly welded to the tropes of yesteryear, the symbolic glyphs and visual metaphors of 2 dimensions. A strange enough concept in its day, but stranger still that it's one that they just won't let go! So now, in an age where it's quite possible to simulate what the elements of the 2nd dimension used to represent, without looking goofy as all get out, does nobody stop to wonder why they are still here? Yeah, you didn't notice it.
But your brains did.
Unless you've deliberately shut them down or something, in which case, hey! Hey! Riddle me this. What's a power ring? What is a power ring? Well, it's treasure, obviously. Wealth, filthy lucre, coin of the realm. Sonic uniquely has a health component in tow, but it's supposed to be treasure. Great big shiny gold pieces, the accumulation of, a variant of which all side-scrolling platformers used to have, a la Mario.
Oh, treasure. Oh, okay. Can I spend it in a store?
No! Oh, forces. Well, to be perfectly fair, there are certain circumstances where we're permitted to purchase things, but it's rarely ever made a core function, because I suppose that would involve designing, indeed, shops to put in your game for the player to visit. You know, like all the very best adventure titles. It's such a radical concept. Couldn't there be at least one game where you get to visit it? Oh, wait, no, I take it back. This was a bad idea. Why is it done so half-heartedly? And a ring doesn't really seem to service as a health item as it used to for Sonic either. So, if it is no longer the representation of the finding of treasure on the hero's quest for fame and fortune, as stylistically portrayed on limited hardware, then why do we bother with it? Especially when its stark physical impossibility just raises a bunch of immersion-shattering questions ripe for parody.
Clean slate. Yeah, clean slate. This anti-gravity chocolate is kind of working. That's will do. At the window with that.
Leaving the origins of such things to the imagination is all fine and dandy when the technology is limited. But when there's utility to have the cast discuss intimate details of the plot ad nauseum, I hope to think it's not too much trouble for them to explain how the floating money works. You know, as it does. And, we just never talk about it, I guess. Wait, what the... It's tempting to just call this all lazy. That's not entirely true. I mean, just look at this. I take back that crack about detail. Holy cow. What I mean to say is that all this razzle-dazzle is of no substance to the gameplay. And that's deliberate. The developers either don't know how, or don't want to create a great, big, fully furnished, lovable world for us to explore, which I'm sure we'd all enjoy. Now, it's easy to get cynical here, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and suppose that that's not simply because this formula seems to sell, and, you know, why bother fixing it? But instead, here's a heartfelt plea to all of the wonderful, genius, talented people behind the series. It's possible to do better. It's possible to create the greatest video game of all time! Believe it! You've just been temporarily waylaid in the woods of wonky design. So, how did it come to this? And what do we do about it? Well, if the rap didn't clue you in earlier, I feel at the heart of this is that Sonic has never been afforded a proper mechanical identity of his very own, beyond what we see of him in 2D. Therefore, attempting to distill his essence into something 3D compatible habitually falls back onto two things. One, his original gimmicks, those things which set him apart from other platformers of the past, such as rolling around like a ball and going really fast. And two, the simple aesthetic reworkings of elements which are part of any 2D platformer. Treasure, treasure, checkpoint, checkpoint, boss battle, firepower, invincibility, lives, etc., etc., etc. And here's where it starts to come clear, because way back when, though there were many titles which had these things, at the core of each spun the genes of the same one, true and immortal, Mario clone. Yeah, even Sonic. That was our mechanical identity. And that's not a bad thing. Remember when I said, for a series which earned so much acclaim by quietly following in Mario's footsteps, in 3D, never did. Well, here it all is. That may just be because the designing of a comprehensive 3D platforming engine of your very own is, as Nintendo discovered, an absolute berry buster. Such a knackering, in fact, that, well, to be fair, many a 2D platformer failed to endure it.
What could possibly go wrong?
very few of them exist anymore.
So I guess to give Sonic some credit, he's a survivor. Which, if nothing else, sings volumes in testament to the pricelessness of his art design. Which is lovely. However, to take that and make a proper 3D game of it, well, that'd bring us back to the berry busting, Bruce. Or else, here's our template,
Upon which we must judiciously transpose the aesthetic elements.
Because I'll tell you, buddy, I'll tell you what, plenty of the stuff you'll find in the second dimension has a very hard time explaining itself in the third. So you gotta go back to the drawing board and be prepared to change everything. To reimagine stuff that doesn't fit, or be willing to burn it all. Or just get rid of it. Why not?
What? No. It's Sonic. It's not a Sonic if he doesn't have his power rings.
And that's like saying Luke Skywalker isn't Luke Skywalker if he doesn't have giant floating symbols of the rebellion to collect. Yeah, I mean, forgive me, but I don't recall this bit in the movie. Nor the part where Luke obtains the severed head of Darth Vader, who seems to be just delighted by it all. These are fun gaming tropes of yesteryear, but which now have room to evolve. And what we're talking about is really the difference between high-definition simulation versus low-definition symbolism, where in 2 dimensions, half of what you see is allegorical, and in 3 dimensions, whimsical metaphor is supplanted with something closer approaching reality. We live in an age where both are possible like never before, and where to confuse the two is really kinda dopey.
Check it out, Lisa. I'm Radioactive Man. I don't think the real Radioactive Man wears a plastic smock with a picture of himself on it. He would on Halloween.
Classic Sonic knows his place. Modern Sonic doesn't even attempt simulation. He's a hodgepodge wrapped in tissue-thin aesthetics. Which, if you enjoy, great. But for the rest of us, ladies and gentlemen, my dudes and dudettes, good people please, what do we do with Sonic? Ascribe him and his cool aesthetics, his friends, his enemies, his stoic new character, and all the elements which no longer make sense in abstract form, to appropriate functions within it. One last time, I promise.
Detailed Sandbox Adventure!
Like, just any of them these days. Like, I don't know, Modern Zelda, for example? Yeah, don't tell me it's not possible to adapt his particular pith into that kind of...
Supersonic flight, gotta keep it going. Sonic boom, sonic boom, sonic boom, keeps you running faster. Sonic boom, sonic boom, save the planet from disaster. Sonic boom, sonic boom, spinning through the world in motion. Sonic boom, sonic boom.
Now it's time for the Great Procrastination Challenge, wherein I dare the whole world to get off its can and finish what it started, in the hopes that it would prompt me to do the same. And it did! You did! There are more great entries than I could ever have expected, you absolute champions, you winners of life! Let's review. First up is the magnificent Void Seer, who has gone and made herself a tumble log, right on the cusp of Tumblr's purge of all of its naughty stuff. Lots of luck, my dear, and what the... Updates Ooh, you cheeky woman. We all know what updates occasionally means to a procrastinator, but this is a good start.
Speaking of the word, next we've got an expert at it. Official procrastinator himself, the one and only Tommy Oliver, has been working on a video game of his very own. It's called Azumi, and it's a sweet-looking side-scrolly slash-em-up affair that serves as a learning project. And for Pete's sake, here I am sitting in my boudoir complaining about how this specific part of the world should be better, and there's Mr. Tommy gliding on by and physically making something that actually is better. And yes, it already has drool-inducing fan art, of course it does. Well done, Mr. Oliver, you mad genius, you perpetual underdog. Not on this list, you're not. Next is King Cocoon, who has carefully crafted a cunning casting call video. Well done, Your Majesty! And if you'd like to be a part of his fantastical pony-related audio drama, then definitely check out the link below. Moving on, we have the one and only Miss Anthropony. Hot off the battlefield of his Star Wars with Disney, today he's decided to beat up some polyagonal punters instead, with a nice little let's play of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's Melee Retro Mode. For as we all know, Melee is the only one! Congratulations, Miss Anthropony! Now for something completely different, writer Jade Muse has created the most comprehensive analysis of every MLP-related spell and manifestation of magical machination, mighty and minute, this side of a Google Doc. Every dazzler, dingle, bop, and doohickey carefully catalogued for your kind consideration. Now, I haven't read all of it because, you know, besides, this is a lot of work. Where were you 5 years ago? Good job, Jade! Next up is genuine gentleman Iwan Rhys-Jones and his ambitious 3D modeling and painting video series. Good work getting it started, man. I'm already loving the tasty shapes. Though, please take a break before it breaks you, dude. Trust me. Next, she didn't take the challenge, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention that my live-action director, the incomparable Ms. Jax, has been defeating procrastination all year with her new YouTube special effects and videography channel. She is a cool person, and you should go and subscribe and follow her on Instagram and Twitter and ask her a whole bunch of tasteful and appropriate questions. Wait a moment! What's this? An animated pony review video by the inimitable Kichi FIM? Count me in! Oh yeah, literally. And what's that you say? 8 months in production? Oh, you slowpoke. Come on, chop chop! Get with it! We don't have all year. No, this is a very naughty video with a bunch of oily innuendo and swears. So parents, please make sure that your children are forced to watch it immediately. Next is 2 short stories written by the Popculture Patron, Marauders in the Museum and Villains for Hire. Let's see here. Chief Caleb Johnson didn't ask for his job. Then again, nobody would, seeing as his predecessors were not the luckiest men. One was torn limb from limb by an eldritch war machine. One was crushed by debris in the Chimera incident. And one was blown to smithereens by cosmic retribution. At some point they stopped appointing invaluable individuals with a lifetime of experience and started appointing people they found expendable. And so that's when Detective Johnson, who snitched on the police union once or twice, got appointed to the position in the department with the highest mortality rate at the tender age of 36. The youngest chief of police in Shoalwater's history. He'd be better off in bomb disposal. Go check them out on deviantart.com and also maybe observe the origins of the world's next big religion. Keep it up, Elron. Next is a submission from everyone's truly bestest friend Shoujo, who has created this genuinely sweet lunar eclipse review. Give it some love, cause dude, if nothing else, you gotta respect a great Ouija costume. Zach Dobson, on the other hand, has made a neat John Wick tribute video set to the tune of Glittering Gold. I haven't seen John Wick yet, but I want to now. Hola! I am the man with the smoothest name in history. It is I, Esteban Arriagada, and welcome to my YouTube, where I have created a video on what it truly means to be Chilean. Wait, dude, you're Chilean? Cool, man. I wish I knew more about that. Can you do an English version for all us lazy gringos? No pressure. Next, Johnson7 hits us fast and furious with an epic Rainbow Factory speed paint video. Dude! Righteous! Watch out for the flashy bits. Meanwhile, Cartoon Gentleman thinks he's oh so high and mighty because he's very cleverly constructed an animatic composed of a bunch of lovingly hand-drawn original artworks, skillfully edited to a classic Danny Elfman song. Well, if you're just gonna make something everybody loves, I suppose that's one way of doing it.
Merry Christmas! Next up is everybody's lovey-dovey Sweetie Bloom, and no, Sweetie, it isn't cheating if yours truly had a hand in making your very slick Bats video review. It's a good video, and I stand by it. Plus, you know, I pay the bills round here, I can plug what I like. Speaking of egregious nepotism, my daughter Luximus has gone and submitted a beautiful animatic made out of Tomska's The Hole, and you should all go and watch it to make her daddy proud. Plus, you know, it's The Hole, it's always good. Well done, Smallbean. On the subject of my daughters, Gemma Bright is that's enough. Gemma is a friend of mine who makes these really inventive and charming animations, and frankly, I don't believe she needed this challenge to finish anything, because her output makes the rest of us look like a bunch of hooting monkeys tickling ourselves. And her submission was the end bit to her 24-minute animated pilot for a cartoon series based on her What's on Your Mind comic. And oh, it's only a complete show-length animation. Amazing. Turning to something a tad more regal now, Devon, the E Still Makes It Fancy Royale, has just gone and finished his sing-along cover of the song Day of Fate, which he first saw on Dragon Ball Abridged. Yeah, man. And singing on camera ain't always easy. Trust me, kids. In 3D the sky rules, so surely this one Well done, Devon! Meanwhile, my chum Leslie gets around all that by putting her stuff on SoundCloud like a clever person, and her submission is a beautiful cover of Remember Me from the recent movie Coco.
Remember me, though I have to say goodbye. Remember me, don't let it make you cry.
It's just lovely. Next is Sarah Weiss and her submission of lyrics to a very personal and achingly beautiful song about a boy with an illness and his very brave mother. I really can't find the words to do this one justice. There are no words, except maybe to say, I'm sure it'll make wonderful music. You really must play it for us now. And thank you for sharing it with us. Good luck. And finally, here's a last-minute entry by Jonathan Cassou. And I have some questions.
Hold the phone. What the...
That's enough internet for tonight. Good job, John. And good job, everyone who participated. Thank you all very much for your submissions. And congratulations on beating your procrastination. If I missed you this time around, then my profuse apologies. There was a lot to get through. But better luck next time. And until then, have a good day and a very Merry Christmas.
Panning face. Panning face. Up.
I enjoy blinking, guys. You never really realize how much you enjoy blinking. Until you can't.
Wow, I don't know what else this bland room of nothing's about, but it is big!
And my brothers and sisters, these craven games altered speed and completely lost it.
I told you to watch out, you idiot.
Ow!